Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Baker. Tonight we begin with continued coverage of a round of severe storms that swept through West Michigan this evening. In just a moment, we'll be checking in on our crews about what they're seeing in the field this evening. But first, we're going to check in with meteorologist Blake Hansen and Amber Twardy. Guys, there's been a lot of activity this evening. Tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, good evening, Lauren. Those storms have progressed through West Michigan. Still a few active storms, including an ongoing tornado warning near the state line, Amber. But these storms really organized over the heart of Lake Michigan and packing a punch in certain spots across West Michigan.
Yeah, strong winds. I think we're going to get a lot of reports from that. Already seen a couple. And then also a few tornado warnings that have popped up, and that ongoing one that's down in Cass County still. Yeah,
by far. Let's get into the view here at the Ford International Airport. 67 degrees the number. Still some lingering rain, maybe a rumble of thunder or two for those that are closer to US 131 and places eastward. But here's some of the photos being sent in with, I'm not going to try to pronounce this lake here. This is near the Hastings area. Big shout out to Carrie sending this in. Looks like a mothership. This shelf cloud, this leading thunderstorm complex coming in. And then this was near Middleville. Shout out to Jake for sending this photo in. Amber, Middleville, one of the specific areas that was very close to those strong winds, that leading edge of the bow echo that was coming through West Michigan. And those winds were 60 plus miles per hour, pockets at least, and a few embedded tornadoes. In fact, there was one radar confirmed tornado near the Freeport area that's a little bit south and eastward of Caledonia. We'll see what the National Weather Service of Grand Rapids does with any surveying tomorrow, but that does appear maybe one specific area that contended with a tornado. As for what's going on right now, a lot of the activity is coming to an end near and north of Holland. Just a few leftover showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, but most of West Michigan done with a severe threat. The exception is in Cass and St. Joseph County, really more St. Joseph County now, to the east of Three Rivers, with a little bit of rotation trying to be indicated by radar. This is just radar indicated rotation, so nothing confirmed. Just want to go back to the broad view, and Amber, you obviously seeing the same thing here, that most of West Michigan starting to dry out. At least the severe risk is coming to an end. Yeah, severe risk coming to an end. I will say that it looks like there's some torrential rain that's still trying to come down there for Berry County and extending down towards the Kalamazoo area as well. Yeah, look at our temperatures. Yeah, wow. Temperatures 60s. Don't know if I believe that Ionia one at 79. Yeah. We'll see if that might be just a wrong sensor with some of those storms that came through. But it still remains muggy outside. The good news is that if you're ready for a break from the humidity, well, we have that tomorrow. Temperatures falling to around 60 tonight. Only around upper 70s to near 80 come tomorrow. And here's the thing, tomorrow will be a quiet day start to finish. A little breezy, at least the first half of the day, but we'll enjoy sunshine start to finish, and our humidity levels will be much lower compared to the last few days. So coming up in your full forecast, Amber will have everything that is ahead Friday into the weekend, a little bit of a recap of this evening as well. We'll have that for you in that full 7-day forecast a few minutes from now.
Amber, Blake, thank you. We want to move to our crews now who have been checking out some of the hardest hit areas. Let's go to 13 on your side, Nick Nelson. Nick, where are you and what are you seeing?
Yeah, Lauren, we are near the Freeport area. You can see the rain has kind of picked back up again. But as Blake had mentioned, Freeport is one of the areas that we have heard has been the hardest hit with a really fast wind gusts and even a possible tornado, as Blake said. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see what we came up on. We are actually on the way to Freeport to see what the damage looked like closer to town. As you can see, we didn't get far. Once we hit this dirt road, you can see a number of trees, large limbs, and branches down here on this road, making it impossible to drive through. Something that people should be aware of if they are driving tonight, since it is dark on some of these dirt roads. People may want to be extra cautious, try to slow down a little bit because there may be debris in the road, something to take note of. But you can see these large branches, all these leaves, this debris here in the road. You can actually, if we pan up a little bit, you can see where one of these trees snapped. You can see that wood kind of bent there, and you can see it kind of draping itself over this dirt road a little bit here. Now this is what it looks like here, and as we were leaving Holland, that's where we started our night, we were on the lake lakeshore as that line of thunderstorms rolled in. It wasn't long while we were there when it started raining, when we started hearing that thunder and seeing that lightning, that we got some of those initial reports of tornado warnings in places like Ottawa County and some of those other lakeshore counties. And those storms were still strong going inland into Michigan, including in places like Kent County and right here near the Freeport area. Now, we are still monitoring. We're kind of there are a number of houses that are here in this rural area that we're at right now. There are no lights in this area. It's indicative of maybe some power outages going on in this area. And as a matter of fact, we did also just hear some sirens. It sounds like there may be some emergency crews here in this area. So that's what's going on close to where we are right now. We're hoping that we can get a little bit closer to Freeport to see what exactly may have happened in that particular community, to see if we see any damage. As soon as we learn more information about what transpired here, we will be the first to tell you. For now, reporting live, Nick Nelson, 13 on your side.
We now want to jump to Hastings, where 13 on your side's Micah Cho is. Micah, you've been traveling up and down the lakeshore today. Tell us what you're seeing.
Lauren, yeah, we are in Hastings. That was a little scary. But yeah, we are in Hastings. This rain is brutal. It's something that we've seen all the way across from where we started out at Saugatuck. We kind of took a little bit of a shortcut through Hopkins. In between Hopkins and Hastings was a little bit sketchy. So when we were on M179, there were probably about 2 or 3 groups of fallen trees on M179 that were down. We came up on those very, very quickly. Other than that, other than a few, maybe some branches or leaves that were kind of scattered, greenery that was scattered on the roads, we haven't seen anything too far. Again, I think the main story, at least here in Hastings right now, is the rain. Now, there have been some reports that we were hearing of maybe there was some damage here in Hastings, rather than just those trees, fallen trees that we saw maybe 5-10 minutes outside of town here before we got into the city. Right behind us is over that way, should be right there, is the Walmart. If you're kind of familiar with the Hastings area, Culver's is over that way. I did see about 2 front loaders coming up and down M37 here. They kept going that way towards 179. So I'm curious to see where they were going, if they're with the city or with the county. But again, not too much going out here in Hastings right now. I know Nick's out over by Freeport. That's just 10 minutes away. He's looking for some damage too. So this is our area for right now, and we'll be sure to update you if we learn anything more. For now in Hastings, I'm Micah Cho for 13 on your side.
And tonight, thousands are without power because of the storms. This is a live look of the Consumers Energy map. Right now, nearly 50,000 people are without power. It's worth noting that some of these outages could be lingering from last night's storms. The utility company says 700 crews are working across the state to restore power. And speaking of Consumers Energy, the agency staged mobile command centers in the hardest hit areas to be prepared for tonight's storms. 13 on your side, Spirit Elliott visited one of those sites ahead of tonight, and he has more.
At the Meijer in Plainwell, there's a big list of to-dos, especially for those parked over here.
This is our central point.
It's one of 2 mobile command centers Consumers Energy has set up to accelerate power restoration.
Probably 50 to 75 crews here, line crews, tree crews, vac trucks, things and crews that we need to do the work.
Norm Kapala is the provider's vice president of grid operations. He says there are some essential supplies here you can't find on store shelves.
We've got poles here, we've got transformers, we've got all the pieces and parts that our line crews need in order to restore our customers.
A staging ground for crews and damage assessors in one of the hardest hit areas after Wednesday evening storms.
We have got significant customer outages here, and so we want to be closest to the work.
About 125,000 customers lost power across the region at some point.
This storm was more impactful than we forecasted. The weather has been more severe, more extreme, and when that happens, we adjust.
That includes calling in additional crews in anticipation of another severe string of storms expected to roll in late Thursday evening.
We're over 600 right now, and we are looking to procure up to another 150 crews so that we are ready when this next front comes through.
Forecasting potential damage is difficult with this kind of storm system.
It's unpredictable.
But Kapala says restoration teams are ready.
We'll move them around the states, and we have crews that are mobilized in pre-stage around the state. And we are going to continue to be here in the communities until our last customer is restored.
Peter Elliott, 13 on your side.
And storms earlier this week brought down trees and tore apart family homes in West Michigan, a situation some may find themselves again tomorrow morning. 13 on your side's Michael Martin tells us what we should be thinking when a storm hits our area.
To call insurance or not? That's the big question when the damage happens to your home. But the experts say the answer isn't so simple. It depends on the damage and the policy you pay for. So the storms roll in. By morning, the worst may be over, but for some families, the questions are just beginning. Where do you start when it's your home that's damaged?
I would start with calling my insurance company or my agent. Just to make sure you get the claim underway, that you're not going to take steps that won't be covered later.
Anita Fox leads Michigan's Department of Insurance and Financial Services. Before you hire anyone or start major repairs, you've got to make the call.
Contact my insurance company and say, what do I do?
Your next job, document everything.
Keep receipts, take pictures, document.
Photos of the damage, receipts for emergency expenses, record of every step you take along the way. And for homeowners trying to decide whether damage is serious enough for an insurance claim,
And you can talk to them kind of in generalities. Hey, what's my deductible? You know, is this the kind of thing, the loss that I ought to be looking at?
she says you don't necessarily have to file a claim, but you should understand what your policy covers.
The best insurance claim you could have is one you never have to make.
And if you aren't impacted by these storms this week, well, they say use this as an opportunity to think about your own policy. Pull it out, look at what it covers, and if you need to, adjust it. The time to do that is now when you aren't dealing with any sort of damage. Michael Martin, 13 on your side.
Also, what should you do if you have storm debris in your yard from the storms? In the city of Grand Rapids, residents can bring yard waste like leaves and tree branches to the city's composting site on Butterworth Street for free. City workers then turn that waste into compost, which is why they keep it separate from trash and rocks.
What we want to do is make sure that the product that's being produced on the back end, the compost, is a good quality product. And also want to remind residents that they have the ability to go and obtain a yard of compost at no cost on an annual basis.
The composting site is open Saturday from 7 to 4:30. The city will also pick up from yard waste bins or if residents use a yard waste tag. We're continuing to follow